Hey folks, welcome to your morning fireside chat. Lake Superior Art Glass here, coming live this Tuesday morning. Gonna do a custom pendant today. We've got our Design Your Own Pendant event happening, and so we had a request come in to have a heart pendant with a cross etched into it. So that's what I'll be doing today. It's gonna be a cobalt blue heart. And we've got a couple different options here. So Rebecca, if you are watching, I was going to ask if you wanted your heart just straight cobalt blue or if you wanted me to swirl some clear in there. So I'll show you, Rebecca. Here's an example of kind of our regular cobalt blue heart. It's going to be hard to see the color, but it's a pretty dense cobalt. The cross will stand out really nice on that. But I thought if you wanted a little more transparency, I could swirl some clear in with it and lighten it up a bit. So Rebecca, if you want to chime in and let me know your thoughts, I will do it whichever way you'd prefer. Let's see if you can see more of that cobalt against the light here. So yeah, it's a pretty dense cobalt. Swirl some clear. Awesome, I like it, Rebecca. That would be my suggestion as well, so I'm glad you agree. You might notice it's a little lighter at my bench today. I finally got a light above my space. So everyone else in the whole studio has had lights in their workspaces except for mine for almost 2 years now. So got a nice light up above me here. The one you can see over here, that's next to me. That's actually not above my bench. So got a lot more light. Got a bunch of tile down on my bench yesterday. And my light actually has Bluetooth speakers, which I'm pretty stoked about. So I've got my favorite band playing in the background right now, the String Cheese Incident. So yeah, feels good to have a little upgraded workspace. You guys hear the music okay? Too loud? Alright, so I'm going to start with some clear and some cobalt. We're just going to mix those two together. This is the exact same process we would do in any of our classes. We start with clear and color and swirl them all together. See if I can get this to focus a little darker here. You guys can see what's going on maybe a little better that way. There we go. Awesome, Jenny. Welcome. Now you can binge watch some glass blowing at Lake Superior Art Glass. You get the live one now, and you can watch an old live stream afterwards. So I'm going to mix these up pretty well. If I kind of stopped too early, there'd be really big clear patches within the piece. So I'm going to mix for quite a while now. One of the really cool things about glass color, as I've mentioned in other live streams, is that they don't really blend. Now the glass blowers out there watching do know that it is possible to blend colors and make a new one, but you really got to work at it. So, especially in our classes when we're teaching people to mix the glass color, they're not going to create a new color. So we're going to basically create a bunch of swirls within the piece, kind of like a Lake Superior agate. Some agates have thick bands of color, some have thin bands. The more you mix, the thinner the bands of color become, and eventually, yes, you can make a new color, but it takes quite a bit of aggressive mixing for that to really, truly work. I just want to make sure that there's no major clear areas within this piece. Again, if you're just joining, this is a heart pendant, a custom order from Rebecca. who was watching. Thanks for the order, Rebecca. We appreciate it. And this is going to be kind of a two-part process. So today I'm doing the hot work and making the heart. And then once that's done and cooled, then we'll sandblast it to etch the cross into it. So I've got a pretty good mixture. Now I'm just working on getting things evened out. Get them nice and symmetrical. And remove some of the clear glass from the bottom. Again, just trying to make sure that there's not too much clear in there. See if we can get this even darker. No? It might be about as dark as it wants to focus. So I got a nice glob of clear and blue glass swirled up here. See, can't you see all those swirls? Alright, so I'm going to get it nice and hot. I'm going to squish it flat with a special pair of pliers here. Just some simple mashers. Sue asked if I can see the exact glass of the flame. Yes and no. I can see the swirls, but it's still all glowing orange. The different colors in clear glass just glow different colors or different shades of orange when they're hot. So I can't see the distinction of the actual blue and clear color. I just see swirls of orange, which tells me that the darker ones are clear and the brighter color is blue. All right, so we're gonna squish this now. And I got a nice lollipop. The age-old question: what does hot glass taste like? I've heard once you taste hot glass, nothing else compares. Ooh, this is looking really good, Rebecca. I like these swirls. You guys can start to see those streaks I was talking about now. Against the light, you can maybe see them a little bit more. All right, so now we'll start sculpting the heart. So to do this, I have a very specialized sculpting tool. It's a really crappy paring knife from a old knife set that I got when I was in college. Definitely not a Cutco. There's no way I could afford that in college. This was, one of the freebies you got at, I don't know. I feel like my aunt probably gave it to me or something. But I love it because it's got a really, really thin blade. It doesn't need to be sharp, but if you have a thicker blade, it's hard to get fine detail. So I just cut into the top of it there to start forming the two upper lobes of the heart. I'll squish it flat again. this band, the String Cheese Incident, has been with me almost since the beginning of my glass journey. I think I was turned on to string cheese probably in 2006, I want to say, and immediately fell in love. They cover such a diverse range of genres of music. From, they're considered a jam band, but they do bluegrass and funk and kind of like calypso style stuff. They do some kind of EDM, not quite drum and bass, but a little bit more electronic sounds, and just kind of meld them all together and jam. And it's just an awesome conglomeration of different styles and really talented musicians. And their songs are very long, and so I've always said that as a glass blower, that probably one of the biggest reasons that I like jam music for blowing glass too is because even the simplest of pieces take quite a while to do when you're blowing glass. Like this heart pendant, for example, we'll probably have almost a half hour into it. If you're listening to pop songs that are 3 minutes long, you've listened to 10 songs by the time you're done. And it makes you feel like you're working really slow. Whereas with jam music, they're, 7 to 15 minute songs, so you might listen to, 5 or 3, and makes you feel like you're not dragging ass so much. So at this point, I always look at the heart, because they're never perfectly symmetrical, and kind of decide which side the loop is going to hang from. And so for the heart pendants, I use a tool to kind of bore a hole through. They're called like Peter's tweezers. And I'm going to heat it up and kind of puncture the glass to make a hole. And then we'll put a jump ring through that, and then the necklace can hang off of that. It looks a lot cleaner than putting an actual loop on a heart pendant like this. Now I got a little hole in there. Does the glass feel like taffy when you cut with a knife? Kind of. I've honestly never worked with like hot taffy. I've only eaten it. But yeah, I think it has a pretty similar consistency. Probably a little stiffer than taffy would when you're making taffy. The glass cools pretty quickly, so and a lot of times you're kind of banking on some of that resistance to help make sure that you maintain some structure and that it doesn't get totally out of control. One of many reasons, honey. Caitlin asked if that's why I insist on listening to string cheese on long road trips. I think I've been pretty good about that in the last few years. I don't really try to play them too much. Caitlin and I agree on a lot of different things and have many, many common interests and similarities, and music is one where we're almost always opposite. It's not that we dislike each other's music, it's just not what we would be preferring to listen to. Alright. So, the top part's done. Now I'm going to start stretching it off the bottom. And this is one point which I really take a lot of pride in my heart pendants, is getting a really fluid look. So because the loop hangs off center, the pendant is going to tip to the side a bit. And so I always try to get a really fluid look to the heart so that when it hangs, even though if we pulled a straight heart right to the point, centered, it would kind of hang off to the side. And so I actually pull the point a little squiggly in a sense so that it looks a little bit better when it hangs that way. Going left to right to heat up kind of the edges of the heart. Want to pull a little bit more down. There we go. I'm always looking at the clean lines in the profile of a piece. That's one of the areas that I really enjoy about glassworking, is really clean lines, elegant forms, very fluid forms and lines. Alright, so that's not the finished shape. I'm going to take a little more off the bottom. It's a little too tall, a little long right now. By doing it this way, I kind of let the glass shrink back up and get a little thicker. And then I can really pull things off a little more strategically. And that one's actually shaping up really nice, and I just shrunk it down now. I'm liking the shape of that a lot better. Yeah, I actually think I'm going to leave it just like that because I need to make sure I've got enough space to etch the heart on there. And if you've watched any of my other live streams, you know I've got something that I call the 80% rule, and that's when you're 80% happy with a piece. It's usually time to be 100% done. And I would say I've hit that 80% mark. And it's time to call it, because I don't want to mess with it and make it worse, start going the wrong direction with it. So I'm going to show it to you when it's still on this hand, a little easier to hold by the camera, and then I'm going to give it a little tap and break it free. So let's get it maybe backlit here. So you can kind of see a little bit of how it's slightly clear and blue. Let's see, there we go, that's a little better. Still looking like there's a big dark band in the middle, which actually isn't there, it's just the thickness of the glass. So yeah, we got some really nice swirls there, Rebecca. I think you're going to be super happy with this one. It's kind of fun. Custom orders sometimes get me thinking about new ways I could be doing things. I'm sitting here looking at this being like, huh, maybe I should do all my blue pendants or blue hearts with some clear in there, because I think it personally looks a lot better than just that straight dark cobalt blue that we typically do. So now we'll break it off. Just take a tiny tap. That's a cold seal, or a punty. The two pieces were stuck together, but not really melted or flowed together, so it breaks off really easily and cleanly right where you want it to. So yeah, there is the finished heart pendant. Now it goes into the kiln to cool slowly, about 1,000 degrees in there. At the end of the day when I'm done working, we'll run a program that cools it slowly overnight. So yeah, that's how you make a heart pendant. They're pretty fun. Again, they're really fluid pieces. They all turn out a little different, and you got to go with the flow on them. You know, that one I thought I was going to remove more glass, and I kind of melted things in and realized, you know what, that's actually right where that one needs to be, and I'm going to call it there. Because I've definitely had times where I just keep removing and removing and removing, trying to get the perfect taper to the tip of the heart, and just never comes. So that one went really smooth, and yeah, I'm excited to finish that up and put the cross on there. So I'm thinking I might be able to go do that tomorrow. Our sandblaster is in our storage space, and so I'll need to make a special trip over there to go sandblast that. So if I get it all prepped up tomorrow morning, I might be able to sandblast it tomorrow afternoon or sometime this week for sure. And then, yeah, Rebecca can have her custom heart pendant. Avis asks how fast we've dropped the temperature overnight. It all is relative to how thick the glass is. So most things that we make on a daily basis are less, in the Flamework Studio anyway, are less than 1 inch thick. And 1 inches of Pyrex or borosilicate glass can cool in about 12 hours or so. And so that's what most of our cycles run is 12 hours. But when I start making my large marbles, 5 inches thick needs to cool for actually about 100 hours. And so you have to cool it down very slowly, simply because the outside of the piece is going to want to cool before the inner core does. And if those happen at different times, glass is just like anything, it shrinks when it cools. And if the outside hits that shrinking temperature before the inside does, that's going to cause internal stress on the glass and make it weaker. Something that thick, it's not going to just like shatter when you drop it on the ground most likely, but it could be something that breaks, in 10 years when the barometric pressure changes quickly enough, if it hasn't been properly cooled. So yeah, glass cooling is all relative to how thick it is. Sue asked, when do I etch? Sometime in the next couple of days. It's sandblasting. There's a cream you can use for etching glass, like called etch-all or things like that. However, that doesn't work with Pyrex. There's something about the chemical makeup of that cream and regular soda lime glass that it works with, but not with Pyrex or borosilicate. So I'll actually print out a vinyl sticker, essentially. We've got a vinyl cutter here, and put that on the pendant when it's cool, and then take it to our sandblaster and etch the cross into it at that point. Right now I'm just doing a little bit of prep work. You guys have some great questions, so I figured I would keep doing a little bit of work while we chat. Oh boy, Gary Brandville's watching now. Get ready, folks, the peanut gallery is here. Oh good, almost 10:30. Just gonna try to make this a half hour so we don't have too much time for Gary to make too many wise remarks. So right now I'm just welding 2 different pieces of glass together, 2 different diameters. As a production artist, I'm a firm believer in trying to make everything as efficient as possible, and that includes for my hands, the physical repetition on my hands. The smaller the diameter rod you have to spin, the less, what would you say, muscle it takes to turn that bigger piece all the way around. It's just like putting a gear on something. So I always weld my 10 millimeter rod and larger onto smaller diameter handles, so I get a little bit more efficiency out of each spin that my hand does. How hot's the flame? Oh, Gary, you should know this. Come on now. It's about 4,500 degrees. The glass, when it's melting, is about 2,400, depending on how hot I have it, or how viscous it is. But yeah, the flame, when it's blue, not like it is now, is usually about 4,500 degrees. That's the hottest temperature that propane and oxygen can combust at. So it might be a little less than that, 4,000 to 4,500. those of you glass blowers watching, you'll notice my left hand, there's kind of two methods of rotation. My left hand utilizes the pinky extension. You can see my left, my left pinky is extended out and doesn't move. It's a kind of a stabilizing move, and it helps maintain really good balance and the feel of the linear piece of glass in your hand. And so I do that with my left hand, because my left hand is kind of my control hand. Whenever you're a flame worker, you kind of want to establish a drive hand, which is my left hand, and then a finesse hand, which is my right hand. I'm right-handed, so I want to do more of those delicate moves with my right hand, use the tools typically with my right hand. And so your left hand is more of the motor, and it's really crucial that that motor or that drive hand can spin something really true and straight and not bounce around. And so that's why I really like the pinky extension method. It's not something that I actually tried to do when I was learning. It just kind of came inherently, and then years later read that it was an actual technique. So this is a 12 millimeter rod on an 8 millimeter handle. Today I'm going to be making some memorial pendants, so I'm kind of getting ready to do that. My large size memorial pendants for the images are made of the 12 mil, and the regular smaller ones are made of the 10 millimeter. Here's a little glimpse of that blue glass that I used in the heart too. Again, you guys can kind of see the blue and clear streaks in there. That's a little bit of the leftovers that I pulled off the end. Alright, so that wraps it up for today's demo. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock, I believe we're doing a wine goblet demo. So that's the one where it's going to be like you're taking the wine goblet class from us, and I'll be walking through all the steps so you guys can get a feel for what that class looks like. Yeah, I'm going to make a bunch of work today. Pretty excited to do that on my new bench with light and sound, and yeah, make some work. That's my favorite thing to do, and a lot of times I don't get to spend nearly as much of my time doing that as I'd like, being a business owner. So yeah, it'll be a fun day. Looking forward to it. It looks beautiful out there. So hope you have good weather where you're at. I realized yesterday when I was telling everyone to get outside and enjoy the weather that, you know, depending on where you are, who knows, maybe the weather sucks. So in Duluth, it was really nice. So hope you guys get out as much as possible, weather permitting, and yeah, enjoy this beautiful day. Avis asked if I can use the blue in another piece. Yeah, absolutely. That could be made into any number of things. So yeah, glass can be reused almost indefinitely. It does start to break down over time after many, many melts. But yeah, glass is fairly recyclable. So thanks again for watching, you guys. Thanks for your support of small business. We appreciate all the orders. Talking about recycling, we've got our recycled glassware line again. I think I mentioned that the other day, but it's a really cool new process that we're doing with all of our scrap glass up in the hot shop. So yeah, check out the website. Jody's been putting more clearance stuff on our clearance section, so there's some really cool deals on there. And yeah, we hope you're all safe and healthy out there. Keep your social distancing up, super important, and we can't wait to get back to things as normal. So stick with it, folks. We appreciate all your support, and stay healthy. See you tomorrow.